Hi, this is Sweet June coming back at you with another video. I thought maybe I would, you guys, I like to give you some spiritual enlightenment, and I wanted to talk about immorality. And this is something I was meditating on. I was really meditating on this last week about the different things that's going on in this world. Um, Diseases, lots of terrible sexually transmitted diseases, and all the children that's growing up in single parent homes, fatherless children, um, the divorces, people getting divorces, as well as a result of adultery, people committing adultery, um, women being raped, children being sexually abused by adults. All this is due to immorality. And what I was meditating on last week was, I was thinking in terms of um, children growing up in single parent homes without the benefit of a father. I was mainly thinking about in those terms, but then I was thinking about, I expanded that meditation, and I was thinking in terms of other things, like I mentioned, broken homes, divorce, uh, adultery, and single motherhood, um, and single fatherhood as well. Single fatherhood, and men having to um, pay child support and things like that. This all that goes under that umbrella. Sexually transmitted diseases, all of it. I mean, all of it. All those things is happening as a result of immorality. And I was thinking that nobody meditating on the fact that nobody benefits from immorality. I was just meditating on that last week. Nobody benefits from immorality. Um, when you think in terms of um, children being born out of wedlock and raised in single parent homes, and I'm actually going to do a video talking about in reference to black males and black females, young black males and young black females being raised in single parent homes, and the effects that that can have on young black males and black females um, being raised in single parent homes. And if we would, I was meditating on the fact that if we would do things Jehovah God's way, if we would do things God's way, that we would prevent a lot of these things from happening and occurring. Children wouldn't have to grow up in single parent homes. Women would not have to raise children alone without the benefit of a husband. The children would not have to go be raised in a home without the benefit of a father. Um, there would be stronger families. Families would be stronger of all races, all across the board, white, black, all across the board. We would have stronger families. And there would be no adultery. If everybody decided to govern their lives according to God's laws, things, our life would be so much easier. Things would go so much better. I want to share a scripture with you. Isaiah 48, verse 18. I'm going to read that scripture. I'm going to read the scripture out of the King James version, but I'm also going to read it in the new out of the New World's Translation. I'm going to read it out of the two different Bible translations because the wording is a little different, but it's the same understanding. It's the same. It's meaning the same thing. Um, see, Isaiah 48, verse 18, in the New World's Translation Bible, reads, "If only you would pay attention to my commandments, then your peace will become just like a river, and your righteousness like the waves of the sea." And the King James Version reads, oh good, it went right to it. All that thou hadst hearkened to my commandments. Hearken means listen. I had to look that up. Hearken means listen. Then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. So basically, I like it better in our translation, the New World Translation, because it makes it more plain. It makes it more clear. And this is the King James Version that I just read it out of, and it's not so clear. It's not so plain. It's not so clear, but it's basically saying the same thing. So basically, um, what Jehovah God is saying is literally He's pleading with us in this scripture. He's pleading with us. Oh, thou hast hearkened of my commandments. Oh, um, if you would only pay attention to my commandments, then your peace will become just like a river, and your righteousness like the waves of the sea. So it's one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible because it's like Jehovah God is pleading with us. He's literally pleading with us in that scripture. And he's basically telling us, if you would pay attention, if you would listen to my commands, if only, oh, if you would only listen to my commands, if you would only do that, your peace would flow like a river, and your righteousness like the waves of the sea. So, in other words, basically what he's saying is, if we live by God's commandments, if we govern our lives according to God's commandments, our peace would flow like a river. We would be at so much peace if we only would listen to follow his commands. And one of his commandments is, thou shalt not commit fornication. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Those are the two ones that I'm zeroing in on. If only we would follow his commandments, our peace would flow like a river. I meditated on that scripture. And to think of how much peace we could be at, how much peace we could have in our lives if we would only govern our lives and live our lives according to God's laws, according to God's commandments. We would be at so much peace. Meaning, I mean, just think about it. Just think about it. If there was no immorality in the world, nobody committed immorality, if nobody committed fornication, and everybody got married before they had sexual relations, and had children within the context of a marriage, and everybody only had sexual relations with their marriage mate, just to think of how much stronger our family ties would be if if everybody in the world lived according to God's laws. Just think of how much at peace, how much peace we would have. Just for example, take a family. Let's take a family of four: husband, wife, and 2 children. Let's say you got a husband and you got a wife and you have 2 children. The husband and the wife, they're having sexual relations with each other, not with anybody else. They're having sexual relations with each other, and they have 2 children, and they have a strong family bond. They govern their life according to God's laws, and because of that, they have a strong family. They have a very strong family. As a result of them having a strong family and living according to God's laws, they're at so much peace. They have so much more peace. They don't have to worry about, the woman doesn't have to worry about struggling, trying to raise 2 kids by herself because she got with the father, she wasn't married to the father, and she don't have to worry about all the stress that comes along with being a single mother. And she's not completely at peace because she's raising 2 kids by herself. The man in turn doesn't have to worry about he's fathered these 2 children without the benefit of having a wife. Now he has to worry about being hauled off to court, getting his checks garnished, because he's, on child support. Then he has to worry about not being able to see his children as often as he would like to see because he's not married to the mother. And they have to try to work out this co-parenting situation. And if the mother is one of those type of women that don't want to cooperate, then he's suffering. The children are suffering. The children have to suffer because they don't have the benefit of the father and the mother in the home. Then they have to dealing with a mother, because the mother is going to have a lot of stress because she's trying to raise the children on her own. So they have to deal with having a mother that's stressed out and not having the benefit of their father in the home, and a lot of the adverse effects that comes from that. So the children, ultimately, the children are not at peace. The children are not going to be at peace. The man is not going to be at peace. The woman is not going to be at peace because they didn't do things God's way. But on the other hand, if they followed God's commands and they did things God's way and they got married, then they had their children. They had the children within the confines of a marriage. And they're only having sexual relations with each other. Then can you see how that would be such a much of a more peaceful situation? So that's why when I read that scripture and I meditate on that scripture, it's like I take it as, it's one of the first scriptures I learned when I was studying. It's one of the first scriptures that I learned, and it's like Jehovah God is pleading with us. It's like he's pleading with us. Oh, if you would only obey my commands, your peace would flow like a river. In the righteousness way, like the waves of the sea. So just to think how much more peacefulness we would have in this world if everybody followed God's command. If everybody obeyed God's command and lived according to God's laws. Just imagine how much more peaceful this world would be. How much more peaceful we would be. That I know over the years when I was raising my children, I didn't have a lot of peace. I did and I didn't, because I dealt with the stresses of being a single mother, and worrying about not having a marriage mate to help me raise my children, worried about my children's fathers not being in the picture like they should have been. So in a sense, I wasn't at peace. I wasn't at peace because I didn't have the benefit of the husband. to help me with my children. And then I had to work to worry about the fathers of my children not being in their lives like they were supposed to be. And then I had to worry about the um, the consequences as a result of them not having their fathers. Because, like I said and mentioned in a lot of my other videos, there's a lot of things that are lacking when uh, the father's not in the home. When the father's not in the home, there's a lot of things that's going to be lacking. You know, a woman is a single parent, and there's the father's not in the home. There's a lot of things that's going to be lacking. So, um, my children not being raised in single parent, as there was a lot of things I did not have the peace that I could have had I did it God's way, and I had my husband, and and I was able to raise my children with my husband and give my children the benefit of a father in the home. Then I would have been so much more at peace. I mean, you kind of understand what I'm saying. So, excuse me, excuse me. So if we lived our lives according to God's law and we obeyed God's commands, that's what he's saying in the scripture. Our peace would flow like a river. We would be at we would have so much more peace. Our children would have so much more peace. There would be so much more peace in the world if everybody lived according to God's laws. There would be no more rapes. There would be no more adulteries. There would be no more children being molested. Children would be at peace because if you get molested as a child, then you're not gonna be at peace. If you're a woman and you get raped, well, you're not gonna be at peace. That affects a woman for the rest of her life. A woman never gets over that. It affects a woman for the rest of her life. But if men would govern themselves according to God's laws, then they wouldn't be out here raping women. And so the woman would be at so much more peace. If nobody committed immorality and had sex outside of marriage, just to think how much at peace we would be, how much more peace we would have in the world. We wouldn't have to worry about sexually transmitted diseases. We would have to still worry about some of the other sickness in the world, but we wouldn't have to worry about those sicknesses. We wouldn't have to worry about those diseases because we wouldn't be having sex outside of marriage. And since as I mentioned in other videos, since I have abstained, since I started abstaining from sex many years ago, I I'm gonna tell you something. I have had so much more peace. That's why this is one of my favorite scriptures because it holds true. Because my peace in that, I mean, I haven't had 100% of peace because I still was a single parent. But as far as not having to worry about sexually transmitted diseases, not having to worry about any unplanned pregnancies, any more unplanned pregnancies, not having to worry about running around here with a broken heart, broken spirit, because I'm being used and taken advantage of from men. They don't have to worry about any of those things because I have a measure of peace in that area. I have a measure of peace. My peace is flowing like a river in that area because I don't have to worry about those things. So I just wanted to give you guys something to meditate on. If we will obey God's commands, our peace will flow like a river. Immorality doesn't benefit anybody. That was really what my point was. That was really what my point was. My point was immorality does not benefit anybody. Immorality doesn't benefit men, it doesn't benefit women, and it doesn't benefit children. Everybody loses if immorality is taking place everybody loses. The man loses, the woman loses, and the children lose. Nobody benefits from immorality. The man has to suffer because he has to worry about being put on child support, um, not seeing his children on a regular basis, having that stigma of being a baby daddy hanging over his head. The woman, it is a stigma. The woman has to deal with the stigma of being a single mother, having the stress of raising the children on her own, without the benefit of the husband, without the benefit of the father in the home. The children have to worry about growing up in a home without the benefit of two parents, without the benefit of a father, or without the benefit of the mother, whatever. So immorality doesn't, at the end of the day, immorality doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't benefit the man, it doesn't benefit the woman, and it doesn't benefit the children. I don't know. That was just something I was thinking about. I was marinating on that, meditating on that last week. So I decided, I like to give you guys some spiritual enlightenment. And I was due for another spiritual video. So I thought maybe I would share that scripture with you and kind of break that scripture down and just let you know that no one benefits from immorality. If we would obey God's laws and govern ourselves and try our best to live according to God's laws, we can save ourselves a lot of heartache. When two people are married and one of the people in the marriage commits adultery, it wreaks havoc. I know some people that went through divorce as a result of adultery, and they're not. I mean, they're devastated. They're devastated. They're not at peace. They're devastated. So if people would abide by God's laws and not commit adultery, not commit fornication, we would be so much more at peace. As the scripture says, our peace would flow like a river. So ultimately, immorality doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't benefit the man, woman, or the children. So, but it benefits everybody if everybody was living their lives according to God's laws. Now that's a win-win situation. Everybody benefits from that. The man, the woman, the children, and everything is their peace is flowing like a river. And I tell you, and we in turn would have stronger families. So I just wanted to give you guys that spiritual food for thought. Meditate on that scripture. I'll put that scripture in the description box. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification bell so every time I do a video, you will be notified. You guys notice my little backdrop I have here? Got me a little backdrop. Something different. Make sure you're more than welcome to comment in the comment section. I just wanted to give you that spiritual food for thought. Stay tuned. I got some more interesting video topics coming up. Peace and love. This is Sweet Jill.